welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. This is Market Today. I'm Sakshi Batra. With me is Shail Bhatnagar. Well, all good things come to an end, and so did the Nifty's record-breaking 14-day run on Wednesday. And we did see that the Dallas Street sold off in line with the meltdown that was being seen in the global equity markets. But however, the decline was not very significant, as the Nifty also recovered more than 100 points from the lows of the day to end about 80 points lower in trade at 25,198 finally. Now remember, today as we move into a new session, it's going to be the weekly expiry for the Nifty. It's going to be the first weekly expiry of the September series for the Nifty as well. And there are domestic cues which are lacking, but there has been several stock and sector specific moves that continue, particularly within the broader markets, and that may continue even today. Now, regardless of all the external factors, remember that 25,000 still remains to be a very crucial level for the Nifty on the downside as well. Now, we'll have to see, going forward from here, how soon does the recovery process also start going forward? Warm welcome to all our viewers and good morning to you, Shail.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today is the weekly expiry of the Nifty, but more important, it's Teachers' Day. And happy Teachers' Day to you all, and happy Teachers' Day to Mr. Market. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurur Sakshat Param Brahma, Gurur Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Guru Devaya Namah. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we hope that Mr. Market keeps us as happy as it has over the last so many years. It allows us the luxury of learning, and it gives us more wealth than what we can count. With these thoughts, ladies and gentlemen, let's begin what markets are up to today. Sakshi's mentioned that it's the weekly expiry of the Nifty. While we are at record highs, while we rallied 4 days, while we rallied 14 days in a row before yesterday, yet the market on a 5-day basis is flat. The Nifty chart is right there in front of you. The dip, which was imported, remember there was pain in Wall Street. There is nothing wrong. There was nothing wrong in Indian equities, but we sort of withstood that pain, and we withstood it in style. Yesterday's move from a low of about 25,070 odd is a testimony to the closing price, which is 25,200, that there is buy on dip which is alive, functional, and doing immensely well. Ladies and gentlemen, the 10 EMA, the 9-day exponential EMA worked wonderfully. It provided a lot of support to the Nifty, and from then on, right from 9:15 a.m. when there was a gap down, the gap down was purchased, and purchased in style. Although the Nifty ended just 81 points lower, I am looking at it as a strength and resilience of Indian equity markets, which are based totally on liquidity, and that came to the fore yesterday. Now let us look at what are the other points of concern, the other points which are going to impact markets today. Weekly expiry is likely to be flat. We are seeing almost tepid weak cues coming in from overseas markets. There's nothing happening on the US 10-year bond yield. Crude oil prices are now below 2024 levels. Therefore, you see strong strength continuing in OMCs, in paint companies, as also aviation stocks. Keep an eye out on them. We've been tracking all of them. As also, you'll see fresh traction coming into the defense counters. Last 2 days have been phenomenal. Yesterday news broke that the government has put in a purchase order of 1.4 lakh crore rupees for all kinds of defense equipment which will be sourced locally. So there are frigates to be made in stealth mode. There are future ready combat vehicles to be purchased, new orders for radars, new orders for Dornier aircraft, new orders for engines. Everything is clicking in the right direction as far as defense space is concerned. So keep that eye out, as also two important stocks. While Reliance Industries has announced a 1:1 bonus in the end of August, the board meet is today for its ratification. A 1:1 bonus will be stamped by the board. While that's something of a normal process, but nevertheless it has to happen. and this is something that we will keep an eye out on. The other interesting thing is the listing of Raymond's lifestyle business. Remember, Raymond had demerged its businesses into two entities: real estate, which continues to quote, and of course lifestyle, which has now been going to list today. So keep these 2 or 3 sectors in mind. The other thing is that this 5-day change on the Nifty, which is actually flat, has seen the emergence of distinct strength in NBFCs. So keep an eye out on Bajaj Finserv, which was the top performer within the NBFC space in the past 5 trading sessions, and of course Biocon from the pharma space, up 7.7% in the last 5 trading, attracting a lot of attention. What else will be watched? It's Suzlon, ladies and gentlemen. The long-term graph is right there in front of you. One of the top wealth creators of 2024 has done one interesting thing. As it had mentioned in its communication to shareholders about 6 months back, it is divesting its non-core assets and has now sold its company headquarters to a wealth management firm to raise 440 crore rupees, which will be used either to pay off existing debt, pare it down, or to use it for more purposes. They have again leased that back, headquarters back, for a 5-year period. As I mentioned, Marsgaon Dock and Garden Reach are the 2 top high beta stocks in the defense space that will be eyed. These are not invitations to buy or sell. These are merely points that we are mentioning based on charts, based on delivery parameters. So please have a view and a word with your financial advisor who may suggest better steps ahead. Sakshi, this is what I have. What is Wall Street telling you? We are on 5th of September, and of course 17th and 18th of September is what is eyed globally. That is when the US Federal Reserve will meet and decide whether it's a 25 basis point rate cut or a 50 point basis rate cut. And what about FIs? What are they doing yesterday?
So the indices in the US kicked off Wednesday's session in the red. However, they recovered a bit in the latter part of the day to end mixed as the job openings reinforced hopes of a September rate cut. The S&P 500 and the Nasdaq, they closed down for the second straight session on Wednesday. We did see the S&P 500 lose about 0.16% in trade. The Nasdaq slipped by about 0.3%, although it was the Dow Jones that was the outlier. It edged up 0.09% in trade. Remember, the crude oil futures settled down more than 1% for the third straight day of declines, including a more than 4% loss on Tuesday due to fears of demand for the coming months going forward. US crude settled 1.6% lower at $69.2 a barrel. Brent ended 1.4% lower at $72.7 a barrel. Gold was flat under $2,500 an ounce as well. And the US Treasury yields are now inching towards lower side too. Markets in the Asia Pacific region mostly rebounded early morning today after the sell-off on Wednesday, except for markets in Japan. We did see both the Nikkei and the Topix fall in trade. Nikkei down by about 0.5% and Topix also on a similar line. We did see also, the release of Japan's July wage data that showed average monthly cash earnings in the country rising 3.6%, softer surge than expected, and that put some pressure. But we did see the Hang Seng, the Kospi rising about 1% in trade as well. So Shanghai Composite up by about 0.2%. So those were some of the indices that were still higher in trade. Now, as far as the GIFT Nifty indications are pointing out towards the Indian market start, we could be seeing a positive start at 25,366 in trade today. As far as the overseas investors are concerned, the FIIs remained buyers for the 5th consecutive session, and they mopped up stocks worth about 975.5 crores as of yesterday's trade. The domestic institutional investors, they stayed net buyers for the 3rd consecutive day, and they purchased equities worth about 97.4 odd crore rupees in yesterday's trade. Let's look at some of the stocks that you should be looking at. Of course, Raymond and Raymond Lifestyle, the first time listing of the demerged entity of the lifestyle business of Raymond will be listed today, so we'll keep an eye out on that. Already the price adjustment had happened in July. We'll see how Raymond Lifestyle gets listed today. Reliance Industries, of course, there will be a 1:1 bonus issue that the board will be mulling today. Apart from this, the company has also secured a 10 gigawatt capacity of the advanced chemistry cell ACC under the second phase of PLI scheme from the government. RL is constructing a 30 gigawatts battery manufacturing facility in Jamnagar with production expected to start in the latter half of 2025. So keep an eye out on Reliance Industries. PNB Housing Finance, the board will consider up to 2,500 crores via NCDs on September 9. Keep an eye on that too. Sona BLW Precisions will be in focus. The company has set a floor price of 699.0 rand per share. This is for the QIP to raise about 2,400 crore rupees as well. And this QIP is at a 3% discount to the current market price. So keep an eye out on that too. Adani Enterprises, the company's first retail bond issue aiming to raise about 800 crores has been fully subscribed. The company has also set up a subsidiary in Kenya to pursue a potential acquisition of Nairobi's Jomo Kenyatta International Airport with an estimated investment of up to $810 million. So keep an eye out on Adani Group. General Insurance Corporation of India, the first day of GIC raise offer for sale saw bids worth nearly 2,300 crores. The OFS aims to divest up to 6.78% of the government stake, has received bids for 58 million shares, and the final disinvestment may be less than 3.4%, with further disinvestments required to meet the 25% public shareholding mandate as well. Prestige Estates, the company has raised 5,000 crores via QIP. Keep an eye out on that. Remember, the liquor space is something that we've been looking at. Allied Blenders is something that you should focus on today. The company's board has approved an acquisition of 80% stake in a new venture with film star Ranveer Singh. The new entity will focus on luxury and premium spirits with an investment of about 70 odd crore rupees. Apart from this, Mastech will be in focus. The Capital Group sold a 5.6% stake in Mastech for over 475 crores. Concurrently, ICICI Prudential Mutual Fund has acquired the shares in Mastech, indicating active interest in the IT service company. And Suzlon, as was indicated by Shail earlier, will be in focus on the announcement of the sale of its corporate office as well, One Earth, for 440 odd crore rupees, and the property has been sold to OE Business Park. So those are the stocks that I'm keeping a keen eye out on, Shail.
Ladies and gentlemen, 8:45. We'll be shortly joined by Mr. Devin Choksi, Managing Director at DR Choksi Fin Services Private Limited, and a little later by Osho Krishnan, Senior Research Analyst, Technical and Derivatives Research. As I have pointed out, let's look at some winners over the last 5 sessions in the Nifty, which will now be facing their weekly expiry. So Hero Motors is the top performing stock in the automobile space with the Nifty, up 5.5%. Needless to say, this is again consolidating near record highs. Please keep an eye out on this one, 5700, and this is something that has moved with a rise in open interest as far as the weekly change is concerned. So this is a positive development. This week belonged to NBFCs in particular and Bajaj Finserv. 6.3% higher. This is the holding company of both Bajaj Finance, which in turn rose 3%, and of course Bajaj Housing, the newest IPO baby, which is being eyed with great enthusiasm on Dalal Street. So Bajaj Finserv, after a disastrous 15-18 months, is now back in action, up 6.3%. This was the top performing Nifty stock over the past week. Asian Paints, drop in crude oil prices, and of course the support that is seen from Asian on FMCG companies saw this counter rise 3.3% above 3,200 rupees, again accompanied by a modest rise in prices for its open interest. Again, Cipla was the top performing pharma stock, 1.9% higher, record highs on Divi's, Sun Pharma and Apollo Hospitals. So pharma was in top shape, and of course who can forget this move on Ultratech Cement and Grasim Industries, 2.8 and 2.6% up respectively, a part of the Nifty over the last 5 trading sessions. This is what I am looking at, ladies and gentlemen. We are waiting for Devin Bhai to log in, and with that, Sakshi, what are the other things that you are looking at on the brokerage radar?
Absolutely, Shell. So, Goldman Sachs has initiated its coverage on AU Small Finance Bank. That is also something we should keep an eye out on. They believe the valuation de-rating is an opportunity on improved earnings dynamics. They've kept a target of 832 with a 21% upside right there. They believe the stock is ready for the next innings and the sector-leading EPS growth beckons going forward from here. They've also forecast an EPS growth of 27% CAGR over FY24 to FY27. That's what they have said. They've also initiated coverage on Chola Investment and Finance with a buy rating and a 23% upside that they expect. They believe it's a compounding story on robust earnings growth, and they expect Chola to deliver an EPS CAGR of 33% over the next 3 fiscal years as well. Let's look at some of the other brokerage houses reports. We have Zomato on top of the radar of JP Morgan with an overweight rating. They have raised the target price for Zomato to 340. They believe the scale should help it drive monetization with bulk of stores now crossing positive levels as far as DS is concerned. Incremental store economics should turn more EBITDA positive as well, and given the Blinkit license to scale faster than peers and current targets, this could be the stock to watch out for. On Indus Towers, CLSA has come out with an outperform rating with a target price of 575, and here they believe the additional Vodafone Idea Tennessee's potential merger with Nextra's data centers could further boost Indus Towers growth going forward from here. I think we are now joined by Mr. Devin Choksi. He's the MD of DR Choksi FinServ. Warm welcome to you, sir, and thank you so much for taking the time out. It's always a pleasure to host you. Well, the record-breaking 14-day run has definitely come to a halt as of yesterday. I want to begin by understanding from you that are you seeing any signs of fatigue in this current market already?
Yeah. Good morning, Sakshi. Good morning, Shail. Well, I believe that overall the market momentum is intact. It is not disturbed. But at the same time, many stocks who have been picking out as far as their valuations are concerned, they are seeing the selling and they are seeing the profit booking into those counters. At the same time, I think there is an element of stock rotation which is happening in this market, which is actually, I think, a continuous process. So I think this market has become more of an momentum trader at the same time, along with the investors. Investors, they normally want to buy little in advance and they want to wait for their turn to come in the market. Whereas momentum traders, they relentlessly operate the counters, I think, one after another. So that's what the typical characteristics of this market is currently. Having said that, I think many of the frontline stocks, even till date today, I think they are remaining appealing proposition as far as I think their investment opportunity in them goes. Be it in the area of metal commodities, be it in the area of FMCGs, be it in the area of BFSI space, and I think even in the auto space, ancillary space, we find that many of these companies within this particular space, I think they remaining, I think, relatively more attractive, including the new defense orders, including, I think, the likely orders coming up from the railways. I think that some of the capital goods companies or the ancillary companies which are into the supply side of the defense and the railways, including, I think, the EMS companies which are on the manufacturing side or the R&D side, they are equally, I think, attractively placed in the mid-tier and the small cap space. So yes, I think market is giving opportunity. Some of the counters are gaining momentum. Some of the counters are yet to gain momentum. That is how I summarize it as.
Right. Devin bhai, namaste. A very warm welcome to you,
Namaste.
sir, and a very happy Teachers' Day. I first met you somewhere in 1996, but have been dealing with KR Choksi Stocks and Securities since 1994. The last 30 years have been filled with great learning, great wealth creation, and above all, fantastic friendship. So we start with the happy wish to you that you may continue to teach us over the next so many generations, and that life continues with such friendship, sir.
Thank you, Shail. I think it's always a pleasure, to have good friends like you. And at the same time, I think whatever little learning that we carry in our domain, it is our duty also to share with one and everybody. So, in fact, I think through your medium, we are
Yes.
reaching out to so many investors and we are sharing our learnings with them. So, I'm equally happy about, I think, this particular process that we have been undergoing.
The market, ladies and gentlemen, is the best learner and the best teacher. If you are blessed with the market's learnings and its teachings, believe me, this life is super well worth living. Devin bhai, let's come back to what is the cues that are coming in on the last street. Sir, what view on pharma? We've seen a very modest but consistent uptick in frontline pharma, mid cap pharma, and of course small cap pharma. Are there any unearthed gems that you are aware of as far as pharma is concerned? In this particular sector, is there still some money left on the table?
Yeah, no, I think one would always say that I think the current market, which is a bull market, in this market, you are not going to get anything which is at a very significant discount. However, underlying proposition and the promises which are there in the businesses, I think they probably make the case for staying invested or buying afresh. We have been liking the underlying strength in companies like Divi's. We have been liking the underlying strength in companies like Laurus. Both of them have remained relative laggards in this particular pharma sector journey up till now, but have been catching up. And probably, I think we believe that I think they are a consistent return provider to the investors going forward as well. So I think one will have to buy these companies with an objective of staying invested. Similarly, I think in the frontline pharma companies, the likes of Sun Pharma, likes of Cipla, likes of Dr. Reddy, they have been constantly working with the complex generics. And because of the ability to produce innovative drugs in the generics front, they are getting significantly large amount of traction as far as I think their business is concerned in the global market, in the US market in particular. So I believe that I think the portfolio of complex generics, I think including Lupin of late, I believe is started contributing well to these companies. And at the same time, most of the pharma companies underlying generic portfolio itself, if you see, they have been systematically increasing the product prices, the prices for the products, largely because of the fact that the input cost has been rising. So compared to the rise in the input cost, I think the finished product prices, the medicine prices have been increased, I think, significantly on a larger size. So to a greater extent, I think that is propelling the profits for these companies in the recent times. I believe that they are steady return providers. Some of the large cap companies, some of the API based companies or the CDMO companies, they are the steady return provider to the investors' portfolio. Should be happy with 15 to 25% kind of a range of return in some of these companies. As long as I think you get that, I think it's a good investment in your portfolio.
Mr. Choksi, another stock or space that I wanted to, draw your attention to is Raymond, and the newly listed component that we will be watching out for today will be Raymond Lifestyle. And of course, later on, we will be looking at the demerged real estate player also to come into the markets. What sort of opportunities are these kind of stocks creating for investors? Raymond, already we've seen a huge outperformance take place right ahead of these big bang mergers. Does it even make sense to look at Raymond or the newly listed player today, Raymond Lifestyle, afresh?
So roughly structurally, what they are doing is the right thing. On one side, you have a real estate portfolio, you keep it aside, grow it separately. On the other side, I think you have got the entire apparel portfolio, the fabric portfolio, the textile portfolio, as you want to call it as. And within that also, I think the newer range that the company is targeting for, I guess I think the promise is a lot. Uh, in my viewpoint, I think underlying promises are remaining very, very strong. However, I think whole lot of things would depend on how they deliver it. In past, I think despite of several amount of promises, I think they haven't been able to deliver it, and now they promises to deliver. So we'll have to keenly watch there. At this point of time, as we speak, in my understanding, most of the good news are in price. Whether we are getting an immediate opportunity to buy this company in the portfolio and make the best out of it, I'm not too sure. We don't have the coverage. I will not be able to emphatically tell about the valuations either. But as I see, the move remains promising, and I think one we need to study it a little bit more closely now than before because of the segregation of the business portfolios.
Devin bhai, let's look at the IT sector. This is something that has been the cornerstone of uh, all of August, and of course, it's helped the Nifty on its way up. Frontline is now at record highs. TCS, Infosys, including HCL Tech, Tech Mahindra, Wipro are showing signs of regaining confidence. But where would you put your money? Will you still believe in the mid cap space? Small cap stocks like NIIT Technologies, NIIT are also resurfacing. How does the overall sector look to you? And are there any undervalued gems still left?
It's an important point, Shail, at this point of time that we are looking. Indian IT companies, I think, look at how they are transiting. And I may take little time, I think, to explain that part of it because I think structural change which is happening in the industry. Most of the IT companies have been, I think, following the coding part. I think they are now getting into the computing part. So from coding to computing journey has already begun, and I think they have already positioned themselves. Because of the computing and because of the employment of technology blocks, including the AI, the bigger element of focus now is building the tools and the platforms to provide the services to the new generation of use cases, which are using the AI part of it. They are basically writing their entire codes and entire script on the open architecture AI OS using the underlying AI infrastructures of a data center, using the underlying AI infrastructures of chips and embedded chips. They are using that and they are writing the tools for the use cases. So the next best thing that they do is basically provide the use cases in different industry verticals, be it agriculture to education to uh, healthcare to e-commerce or for that matter fintech, etc. I believe that I think they are doing the right thing. And because of that, I think they are also attracting large amount of their existing customer base to come to them. Another change which is happening is earlier the software as a service was the norm. Now the norm is the platform as a service. Because anybody and everybody who wants to develop their use cases, I think they would like to use the existing platform of the IT majors. And that's where the strong players like TCS, Infosys, HCL Tech kind of companies are well positioning themselves. At the same time, I think there are niche players who are physically operating using this technology infrastructure in the niche places like for example, auto verticals, aviation verticals, healthcare verticals, etc., where they are developing the R&D based technology platforms for some of the clients. So in my viewpoint, I think both the segments, the mid-tier segment of the players and the frontline players, both of them are promising to grow, I think, in the range of around 15% or so. And the stock prices in turn could possibly, I think, move in the range of 15 to 25% in some of the IT companies, particularly when I think you end up buying when the market gives opportunity over the risk. So we remain cautiously optimistic about this entire space and the developments going forward.
Right, 9 a.m. We're already seeing a positive uptick, 25,204 for the Nifty right now. It's a green opening as we can actually see. Let's look at some of the on quickly. It's turned volatile, and we're actually seeing a heavy volatility, 25,200 and thereabouts. Let's look at how some of the heavy weights are actually moving. Let's look at Reliance Industries first to see how the stock is reacting. Remember, today is the boards are going to be mulling a 1:1 bonus issue right there. So we need to keep an eye out on that one. And let's look at the entire IT pack, which was sluggish yesterday, to see whether there is any sort of a recovery that's coming back on this one. So let's pull up some of those stocks. So Reliance Industries is, do you have the stocks that are taking? I don't have it right now, Shail, with me.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the Nifty is mildly in the green, 20 points higher. Let's look at how prices are moving. ITC at the forefront of the top 10 index heavyweights segment, up about 3/4%, 510. Strong move coming into Infosys. TCS about 40 rupees lower on the back foot. Bajaj Finance is 20 rupees higher. You have a green tick on Reliance, 6 rupees higher, 3035. and L&T 28 rupees higher, 36.79. A very quick look into NSE 500. Let's look at what's happening. I like to mark Sapphire Foods. This is a 5:1 stock split adjustment that has happened. The counters adjusted positively, 6.6% higher at 359.7. Please keep an eye out on this one. Zomato, JP Morgan backs the counter, feels business is good, 2.7% higher, almost 249.5. There is Suzlon, news driven, 2% higher, 75.65. I'd like to look at what the defense space is doing. Cochin Shipyard, 1.5% higher, 1958. A strong move on BEL continues, 1% higher. How about Mazgaon in the green, about a percent higher. Garden Reach in the green, 0.8% higher. And how about Hindustan Aeronautics, half a percent higher, 48,980. A very quick look into the top traded counters in terms of volume so far. It's the same set that we've talked about, nothing new. Raymond, the original one, 2125, 2.2% higher. Sona Comstar, this is a 2,400 crore QIP which is open for subscription. The company 1.8% higher, 735. So this is how markets have opened, ladies and gentlemen. 43 points higher on the Nifty. We'll wait for it to settle down. 25 to 42. All's good in the world of the Lal Street on Teachers' Day. Let's hope we have a green close. Devan bhai, your view very quickly on defense counters. We see some mojo coming back after this 2-day rally and this very strong order flow coming in from the government, 1.5 lakh crores one and 26,000 crores rupees the other. How do you see this space now? Is the correction fairly deep and fairly good? What looks good in terms of a medium 3-4 year position for the portfolio?
Yes, Shail, I think it's a part of the government's budgetary allocation, which they are now spending by way of these particular orders. So it's a great thing to note about. In my understanding, the shipbuilding space and ship maintenance space is basically one which has been getting the maximum amount of preference at this point of time coming from the new order release of 1.45 lakh crore that you are referring to. I think that money is basically largely going in that domain. Having said that, I think the other part of the money which is being spent is also in the area of artilleries and the tanks, I think, which are being provided by some of the manufacturing companies at the same time. So from that point of view, I think the business condition looks absolutely robust for one and everybody. While we look at the top line players, I think we should also be sizably looking at, I think, the ancillary players, I think, who are basically catering to the companies like them. I believe that some of the companies which are supplying the electrical distribution systems, some of the companies which are supplying the transformer systems within the engineering space are also equally getting benefited because their frontline players are getting or attracting significantly large amount of orders, be it from the defense area, etc. So we remain distinctly positive. Current valuation correction which has happened in some of the stocks, that is good, healthy, but at the same time, I think they still remain premium value unless these companies they show the traction for higher amount of growth. I don't think that I think premium value would be justified. This new order is coming into the books, is creating a visibility for next 3 to 5 years, but that does not mean that I think it's getting executed in 1 year time. So that's where probably I think the valuation which between the earnings and the valuation is happening currently. You would be careful in selecting some of the names I think in the portfolio. Particularly, would be more comfortable buying the ancillaries who are supplying or who are part of the ecosystem who are supplying to the defense segment.
Hmm. Mr. Choksi, another space is the oil and gas space, especially the OMCs is something that I wanted to draw your attention. We are seeing record highs on some of them for sure. Crude oil prices are now further falling. There is a slowdown in demand that the world is looking at. Singapore GRMs have turned negative for the first time since October of 2022 as well. How are you looking at the OMC space despite having run up so much? Is there more opportunity that investors can look at here?
So I guess I think actually it's a very relevant point at this point of time. And honestly speaking, I think in the commodity space, it is always going to be challenging to predict the move as far as I think the outcome of the product and the prices are concerned. Having said that part of it, I think we believe that the favorably placed companies would be, I think, likes of Reliance because their ability to handle different feedstocks, because of their ability to manage the profit margins, because of their ability to, I think, expand the supply into the global market by using the complex power of the refineries. I believe that I think they are relatively better placed even in an environment which is more sounding, more challenging on the pricing front of the products. Uh, Having said that, I think the likes of ONGC, likes of HPBP and IOC, I think they remain steady growth provider largely due to the fact that I think the commodity oil prices have gone down. But along with the prices going down, I think it has an impact onto the margins because in the near future, you will have the GRM getting affected. Once 2 3 months of I think the adjustment completes, I think then they would have relatively positive alpha as I see it. But I think you can't see these kind of companies on a quarter to quarter basis. That is what my understanding is.
907, ladies and gentlemen, the Nifty settled in positive territory in pre-open, 51 points higher, 25 to 50 is back with the bulls. Nifty Bank in the green, 144 points higher. IT is going to start on a strong footing, and on the Nifty 50, on the Nifty 500, ladies and gentlemen, the broadest measure that we track, the gains on the 500 index are more than the Nifty, 72 points, 0.3% higher. So that is how it is at the moment as far as the pre-open is concerned. A couple of good points to note. Momentum is back in the railway space. Look at Kernex Microsystems, 3% higher, age 24. Remember, there was a massive correction on this one. Let's look at the PSU pack minus the defense space. Okay, you have a strong, no, it's a fairly okayish kind of move. Maharashtra Bank, 1.5% higher, 62.5. You have Dredging Corp coming back into action. Oil India, a percent higher, 689. IOC, BDL, ONGC in the green. So it's a modest start that we are looking at as far as prices are concerned. I'm wondering if we have Osho with us. Yes, Mr. Osho Krishnan joins us, Senior Research Analyst for Technical and Derivatives Research at Angel One. Namaste Osho ji, स्वागत है आपका. Two picks that you think will outperform the broader markets in terms of gains or losses that you can highlight for our viewers.
Very good morning, Shal sir. Firstly, thank you for having me at the show. Well, overall, I expect the market should give a very strong move from here onwards. But two of the picks that I have preferred on the technical basis, first one is Aether Industries. Aether Industry in last trading session have seen a very significant upsurge and was hovering around and have closed around the zone of 930. So I'm expecting that the move should continue in Aether Industries for the day also, because it is on the verge of giving a consolidation breakout. So Aether is the first recommendation on the buying front for the higher target of approximately 1000 target, while for short-term traders it is advisable to keep a stop loss of 900. The other counter, which is again a breakout counter, is Biocon. Biocon also yesterday have seen a very drastic upsurge near about 370. So one should even look for buying opportunity in Biocon for the higher target of nearly 400, 410, and short-term traders are advised to keep a stop loss of nearly 355.
Okay. Very good morning to you, Osho. Good to have you with us. The markets have settled in the pre-open, and it seems to be a positive start with about 2/10% higher. Trade 25,250 on the Nifty. Oil and gas seems to be in the thick of action. Stocks like ONGC, the Oil India also, and also the OMCs, you know, IOC, HPCL, BPCL, they seem to be in the thick of action. Mid caps could be in the thick of action again. PSU banks seem to have recovered. In the pre-opening trade, at least all the sectors are indicating to a positive start right there. Osho, how would you look at the energy space today, and where would you keep your focus?
See, overall in energy space, basically because of the fall in crude oil, there has been very strong movement in companies like OMCs and companies like ONGCs. So I'm expecting that there can be a decent move in the coming period also. But overall, these companies has already seen a very drastic surge in the recent period. So I expect that there can be a follow-up buying, but on the higher end, for example, for BPCL, I'm expecting approximately 365 to be seen as the immediate resistance. The time we see a breakout above 365, then we can see a continuation. So overall, energy space is looking very positive, but one has to be very maintain exclusivity with the stock selection for outperformance in such kind of market scenario.
9:12, ladies and gentlemen. Let's look at some other prices that are settled in pre-open trade. Sona Comstar is now 3.5% higher, 750. Remember, it's 2,400 crore rupee IPO comes up for 2,400 crore rupee QIP opens today. Demand is likely to be strong. Comstar has said that it will utilize the proceeds to buy the railway division of another Delhi-based company, which I don't want to name because there is still no confirmation. So please keep that stock in on your radar. Chola Fin, this is something that has been highlighted by Sakshi as well. 1519, 2.1% higher. Morgan Stanley has come out with a very bullish report on this stock. And of course, you have a strong move coming into Indus Towers, 1.4% higher. You have a good view coming into Bharat Forge, 1.2% higher, 1625. Coming to you, Osho, within the defense space, one, is this rally worth looking into on the long side? And if yes, any one or two stocks that you can name which might see further momentum on the long side?
Overall, from the defense space, I have seen that majority of the counters have seen a very decent correction or time-wise correction and even price-wise correction from the highs, all lifetime highs. They have retracted approximately 61%, and some of them are 50% also from the rally that they have seen. But from here onwards, in the last three trading session, there has been a strong traction in majority of the counters. So I expect that from here onwards there can be some kind of follow-up buying that can be seen in majority of the counter. For example, Masdog is looking very positive to me. It has seen a very strong reversal on the technical parameters. It has seen a positive crossover on the technical parameters, and also from the zone of 89-day exponential moving average, the counter has taken support and has reversed in the last two trading sessions. So I expect that such kind of moves should continue in the coming period. So majority of the counters are looking very positive for short or even for medium term perspective to accumulate. Even Masdog, HAL, all these counters are looking very positive for the time being.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, the opening prices are upon us. It's a green tick on the Nifty, 42 points higher. The Nifty 500 is performing better than the Nifty, which is good news, 67 points higher. There is a record high on the Nifty mid cap index. Please keep that in mind. The Nifty Bank opens 100 points higher, and it's a green tick on the IT index as well. Now let's look at stocks in focus. I'll be looking at Reliance Industries, almost 10 rupees higher, 3039. The board will meet today to ratify the 1:1 bonus issue. Bajaj Finance, 7 rupees higher, 7301. There is a strong move coming into ITC, 2 rupees 60 higher, 508. You have Bajaj Finserv marginally on the back foot, Lever marginally on the back foot, but traction coming into HDFC Bank again, 4 rupees higher, 1645. Let's shift focus to top performers on volume. Make no mistake, Zomato is here to stay, 2.5% higher, backed by JP Morgan's report today, 247. The stock has also corrected fairly decently, and this is looking good as far as the medium term charts are concerned. Nice move coming on to Sona Comstar, 3.5% higher. Masgaon, 2.5% higher. Please keep this one on your radar. Geo Finance showing strength. ICICI Bank, 0.5% higher. Let's look at the top gainers now. The market seems to be in fine shape. Sapphire Foods readjusts for 5:1 split. 6.5% higher. This is good. 358.85. AU Bank is another research-backed stock which needs to be looked at. I think by Morgan Stanley, 716, 4% higher. Linde India, Century Textiles, and of course Mastech are some of the stocks in the green as far as NSE 500 is concerned. A very quick look into FNO, and then we'll head for Osho. Okay, weakness in Tata Chemicals, 0.7% lower. Max Financial Services, 1.7% lower. Britannia slips 0.5% lower. There's nothing much to be worried about. In terms of the overall market, this is a start towards the green. Advanced decline ratios 1684 stocks in the green versus 351 in the red. We tracked 19 indices for you, ladies and gentlemen. 17 are in the green. The rally is led by the small cap 100 index. So the mojo is back. Osho, very quickly, what will you do with Zomato?
See, Zomato has seen a very decent correction from the higher levels, and on technical front, it has tested the bullish gap, which was approximately around the zone of 240. So I expect that from here onwards, there can be a decent upsurge or strong traction can be seen in this counter. So this is a very good level, a good support zone on the technical chart, and one, those who have missed the rally or those who have booked their profits earlier, they can again reaccumulate this counter for higher targets of approximately 270, 275 on immediate term basis.
Okay, a whole host of stocks that are also buzzing within the broader markets. Let's not lose sight of NIIT Limited. There is no let-up here. 6% higher in trade is what the stock is really moving at right in today's trading session. Sapphire Foods was mentioned by Shell. It's already up about 6.5% odd in trade as well. So some of these stocks are really buzzing. In the FNO space, definitely it's AU Small Finance Bank that's taking it away now, 4% higher in trade on the back of Goldman Sachs report that initiated a buy with a 21% upside opportunity that they believe can be seen on this one. Let's get you to talk about these two stocks right there, Osho. AU Small Finance Bank, how would you trade? And NIIT Limited, can one still take an entry?
For AU Finance Bank, this counter has seen a very strong breakout. This counter was into the radar. I was expecting that the time it gives a breakout above 700, then one should initiate a buy. But obviously, it has given a very strong breakout and currently hovering around 715 odd levels. So definitely a breakout on the technical front. And from here onwards, one can definitely expect a very decent upward rally in this counter, because after a very long period of duration, this counter have emerged from the zone above the zone of 700. So I expect the next target that one can eye for in AU Finance Bank is approximately 780. So that is the short term target for AU Finance Bank, while on the lower end 680 and 675 should be acting as a very strong support for this counter for the timing.
Okay, just one more update. Max Financial has seen a large trade take place, 1.5 crore shares, that's 4.3% equity as he exchanged hands. This is worth 1637 odd crore rupees. The stock is lower by about 1.7% at 1114 odd levels. So some really large block deals that are taking place as of now. Several other stocks that are on the buzz. IFL Securities, it continues its buzz, 2.8% higher in trade. PG Electroplast is up by 4%. Those are some of the counters. Fino Payments Bank is picking up pace, 3.3%. Zaggle Prepaid is up by about 2.5%. Remember, this entire NBFC space is further garnering all the attention as well in today's trade. Okay, I think Ecos Mobility that got listed, I think yesterday, is again up 7% odd. Let's also look at Premier Energies, the recently listed company, to see how that one has opened in trade today. For Premier Energies, it's a 2.2% uptick at 861. So it's further picked up pace right here. So these are some of the newly listed companies that are on the buzz right now. Ultratech Cement is now the top moving counter on Nifty 50. Remember, it was the cement space that was garnering all the attention even yesterday. JK Cement is further picking up space in the FNO space as well. Osho, cement space for you. How are you looking at the space? Further opportunities here?
Yes, as you have mentioned that from last trading session or maybe before that, the sector has started gaining some traction. So almost many of the counters have started gaining very strong traction. For example, Grasim yesterday have seen a very strong movement from the 20-day exponential moving average. It is still moving upwards. Ramco Cement has seen a very strong consolidation breakout. JK Cement has seen a very drastic breakout in last trading session. So almost many of the counters are looking very positive, but from fresh point of accumulation, I expect Ramco Cement has the potential to have a very strong movement from here onwards. And Grasim, these two counters are looking very positive on the technical front. And I expect that in the coming 1 to 2 trading session, there can be a decent upsurge in both the counters. And for short-term traders, they can actually look for these counters to accumulate and book their profits.
Zomato in strength, ladies and gentlemen. This is now the second most active counter in terms of volume. 451 crores is already traded, 4% higher, 253. Let me just take a look at what the charts are saying. This is something that we've already discussed with our friend Osho. Okay, this is the 21 EMA test that has happened. Let us see how it progresses, backed by a report that's just come in before markets opened, and the all-time high is 280, which we saw on 19th August. While that doesn't seem to be happening immediately, but please keep an eye out on Zomato based on the report that has just come in and the price targets that Osho has just set. All-time highs within the FNO space. You have Chola Fin 1547, 4% higher. Again, a Morgan Stanley report. This is something that needs to be looked at. Osho, what would your view be on Chola Mandalam Investments and Finance? 1547 for you now.
See, overall, this counter has seen a very strong movement in the last trading session, almost have given a very strong breakout on the weekly time frame. And this week have started on a very positive note. There has been very strong accumulation and buying in this counter. So I expect that the momentum should continue. Looking at the formation on the technical front, I expect 1570 to 1580 to be seen as immediate resistance or immediate target for short-term traders. The time it breaches the zone of 1560, 1580, then from there onwards, we need to review for the short-term period if there will be continuity on the higher end or any dip should be auguring well for fresh accumulation in this counter. For the time being, 1480 and 1500 is a very strong support, and 1580 approx these levels, it is a resistance for this counter.
Okay, got it. Let's again look at some of the other pockets. Small caps and mid caps are taking it away. I think it's a record high for the mid caps as well, again in trade today. Within the small caps, pharma space, and this Piramal Pharma is again soaring higher, 3.5% up in trade today. Several other stocks also within the small caps that are buzzing. Century Textiles, Honasa Consumer is continuously moving up. JBM Auto has also continued its rally from yesterday. Praj Industries is back at focus again today, 2.2% higher in trade. Himadri Specialty Chemicals, that's up 2%. Natco Pharma is up in trade. Tata Investment and Global Health. These are some of the stocks that are actually buzzing within the small caps basket. Let's again look at the mid cap space as well to see where are the winning actions coming in. Pharma space again, Syngene is up today, 3% higher in trade. Apart from the stocks that we've discussed like AU Small Finance Bank and Sona BLW, even Suzlon Energy is up by 2% odd on that huge property that's been sold off. ACC Max Healthcare, you have LIC Housing Finance, Indraprastha Gas and BSE also moving up in trade right here. Let's get you to talk about the pharma and the healthcare pack, Osho. Where would you keep your focus right here? A lot of these hospital stocks are coming back into focus, and even the research oriented names. Biocon has been in the thick of action last few days. It's Syngene today that's picking up from the same group. How would you look at the opportunities here?
See, overall, the healthcare space is looking very positive. From the past 2 weeks, these counters have been gaining very strong traction. I recommended Biocon for short-term traders for the target of nearly 410. So that stays put, but overall, all the other sectors are looking very positive. Counters like Fortis, Apollo Hospital, these are on the verge of giving a very strong, fresh breakout. So I expect the pharma space is still having some strong potential for the coming period, and one should keep on trailing their profits on the higher levels because there has been momentum in majority of the counters from past 2 weeks. So there can be a kind of profit booking in the coming period, but until the momentum prevails in these counters, one should stay intact with the bullish approach in majority of the pharma space and healthcare space. So counters like Ipca Labs, Divi's Labs, Apollo Hospital, Biocon, Cipla, all these counters are looking very positive on the technical front, and one should adopt trailing their stop losses to higher levels and keep having a buffer for their profits.
Ladies and gentlemen, 9:27. The first 10 odd minutes of trade have lapsed. What is showing strength are the exchanges and the entire broking AMC space. No stopping this one. Look at the Bombay Stock Exchange, 2.7% higher, 28.33. The charts show good traction. Osho will keep an eye out on BSC. I'll just reach out to him. CDSL and CAMS. Again, showing 1 percentage point uptick. You have strength in Edelweiss and IIFL securities, 6 and 3.7% up respectively. The theory is that given the constraints that brokers are facing on costs, this zero brokerage business is now going out of fashion, and over time you will see prices of transactions going up. That's the reason why you see such strong momentum. Osho, to you, what are the charts of BSC telling you?
For BSC, there has been a very decent traction in the recent period. Also, it is hovering above all the exponential moving average. But the major concern is the bearish gap, which is approximately around the zone of 2880 odd levels. So until it breaches or until it fulfills the bearish gap on the higher end, which starts from 2880 and goes up to the zone of near about 3100. So this can be a challenging period where we can see some kind of uh, blips in the coming zone. But overall, the counter is very positive, and there is a very strong and gradual up move in this counter. So I expect that this should fill the bearish gap also in the coming period. But I am not very much aggressive for the time being. The time it gives a very strong breakout above the zone of 3100 or 30,000 3080 odd levels, then from there onwards one can definitely see a very strong traction in the coming period.
Okay, got it. The one
Okay.
pocket. Yeah.
I'll also
Yes, sure.
ask. Yeah, please continue, Sakshi. No issues.
Yes, I wanted to ask you, Osho, on the FMCG space and particularly on ITC. What are you really looking at going forward from here? On ITC, if you see, about a 0.7% of an up move can be seen, 510. The stock has been consistently hitting its record high levels as well. And the market texture, as we've been witnessing over the last few weeks, has also turned defensive with, along with pharma. It's also IT and FMCG that have been garnering more attention. How are you navigating through the moves here?
See, for ITC, as you have mentioned, that FMCG and pharma space are gaining very strong traction in the recent period. But ITC being a very low beta counter, it is hovering near around the zone of 500. And after a very strong vertical rally from the zone of 440 towards 500, I expect that this kind of consolidation should be considered very healthy because it is on the verge of making a very strong base setup for itself. So the time we see a breakout around the zone of 520 on a closing basis, then we can see continuation on the higher end. And for that, the target comes around the zone of 560. So overall, the technical structure is very positive. Currently, it is into a consolidation. But the time we witness a very strong breakout in ITC, we can definitely see a higher target of 560 in the short term period only.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, there's been a very unusual development, but a positive development on AU Small Finance Bank. The research report from Morgan Stanley is pretty well known, but unusually for this counter, it's among the top traded futures. In fact, the second most top traded future on NSE is now AU Bank. Already 6,000 contracts have been lots have been traded. Each lot is about 1,000 shares worth. Similarly, MFSL, where a block deal has happened, you have about 4,446 contracts traded. Each lot is about 800 shares. So this is something that you need to keep in mind. Amongst unusual stocks which are now moving, let's look at GIC Housing Finance. The reason why I mentioned this is that you've had strong moves coming into Canfin and our friend PNB Housing over the last 2 or 3 sessions. GIC Housing Finance is very quiet, now above 21 EMA. What are the charts telling you here, Osho? 7 rupees higher, and the most recent high has been 277, now at 247.
See, on the technical front, yes, the housing finance companies are looking very positive. PNB Housing Finance have seen a very drastic upsurge, and GIC, on comparative note, has not seen any kind of move till now. But I expect that from here onwards, the counter is in a consolidation phase, and on the higher end, there are two very critical zones. One is the bearish zone around the zone of 255. So until it breaches the zone of 255, I am not very much aggressive in the counter. But looking at the nature of this counter, it might be possible that it can even move beyond 255 in just a single day also. So the time it breaches the zone of 255, then from there onwards we can see a very strong movement, because on the technical front also we can be witnessing a sloping trend line breakout once it surges above the zone of 255. Then afterwards, I will be very much bullish in the counter for the higher target of nearly 270 to 275.
Okay, got it. Let's again look at some of the other pockets that are probably buzzing in the Nifty Next 50 list. Apart from the ones that we've discussed, like Zomato, it's further fueled fire. You can see 5% uptick now on Zomato. It's now trading at around 255 odd levels. Yes, a 4.5% uptick. It's at the day's high. That's the kind of move that you can actually see on Zomato. Some of the other spaces. Okay, insurance space is further picking up pace. ICICI Lombard, you have LIC. These are the pockets that are again moving. Osho, would you have any favorable outlook on the insurance space as of now?
Insurance space as a whole is looking very positive to me. Majority of the counters have seen a very strong breakout in the recent period. For example, HDFC Life have seen a very strong breakout. ICICI GI has seen a very strong vertical rally. There has been no stopping by for ICICI GI. But all these counters with the recent moves have definitely been into the overbought terrain. And I am not very much aggressive from here on the basis of targets and on technical front. But till momentum persists in these counters, one should stay intact with their bullish approach. And majority of the counters like SBI Life, ICICI GI, Prudentials, HDFC Life, all these counters are looking very positive on the technical front. One should keep trailing their stop losses to higher levels and keep having a buffer for their profits.
Okay, let's look at a company called Kirloskar Ferrous. There seems to be a distinct sell-off that's happening on this one, accompanied by fairly decent volume. 452 for you, 3.2% lower, and already there is a very sharp surge in volume. Please keep an eye out on the phone, on the chart. This looks fairly interesting. And in terms of volume build-ups, we've discussed many of these stocks already. Let's look at the top gainers, which is a company called let's just avoid these names. These are 1 or 2 day stocks that come in. It's always best to look at volume and price action, which is in PPL Pharma. Second day of strong gains, record high here, Osho, now about 220. Because there is so much of momentum in pharma and mid cap is doing pretty well, does it make sense to look at PPL Pharma with a long-term view?
See, overall, the cycle of this counter on majority of the time frame chart is very bullish. It is in the cycle of higher highs, higher lows. But the last trading session, we have seen a very drastic upsurge from the zone of nearly 190 towards the zone of 210. This counter have seen in one day, but that has been positive development. Is that has been backed by very strong volumes. So overall, the trend is very bullish in this counter. But at present, if you will be asking me the risk reward for fresh accumulation, then the risk reward is not favorable. One should stay sidelines and should wait for some kind of correction towards the zone of 205, 200 odd levels to accumulate this counter from a longer term perspective, because overall the technical charts are very positive on broader time frames. So all the time frames are having the cycle of higher highs. So with the recent move of approximately 17 odd percent in the week, one should wait for some kind of correction or profit booking in this counter. The time we witness approximately 7 to 8% kind of a profit booking, then one can definitely try to accumulate on the fresh term.
Osho, consumer durables has suddenly picked up pace. A lot of these companies are now back in action. Titan is up 1.5%. Whirlpool, Crompton Greaves Consumer, Blue Star, Voltas, they are picking up pace as well. And remember, we are headed into the festive season and a lot of sales that will take place as well. So a buoyant time for the companies right here. How are you looking at this space?
See, overall, the preferred pick, if you will be asking me, then it will be Titan, because in the last 2 to 3 trading week, this counter has been struggling but has been sustaining above the zone of 200-day SMA. So this has been a very positive development for the counter. And in the recent period, in the last 3 to 4 trading session, the counter has been making a very strong traction. So I expect that if it sustains even around the same zone on a closing basis, 3660 to 3680 on the closing basis, then from here onwards, one can definitely see a very strong movement in the coming period. Other counters like Voltas, Havels, these have already seen a very strong upsurge in the recent period. So I expect that there can be the risk reward is not very much favorable. One should better wait for some kind of correction or some kind of profit booking, maybe on time wise phase or maybe on the price wise phase. Then they should start accumulating these counters also.
9:39, ladies and gentlemen. The Nifty is in a very narrow trading range, and more or less this was expected because today is the weekly expiry. And in any case, we've had a very strong run up over the past fortnight. Where are stocks where you see profit booking? BHEL is down 0.6%. Marico is slipping 0.6% lower. Havels has a similar loss at 1889. You have Cochin Shipyard and Garden Reach now slipping back into the red, as also Bharat Dynamics. You have battery maker Amara Raja Mobility now 1.7% lower. CCL Products, which was the top loser, which was the top gainer in NSE 500 yesterday. This coffee maker has now slipped 4%. This is pure profit booking. And a stock that we've often recommended on the long side via experts is Uno Minda, now down about 2.3% as far as the changes are concerned, 1140. What is at high of the day? There is no stopping Indian Hotels and there is no stopping Chalet Hotel. Chalet at 920 is now 4.8% higher. This is a record high. I hesitate to take a view. Nevertheless, let's see how strong momentum is. Osho at 920. What are the charts of Chalet Hotels telling you?
See, overall, as you have mentioned, the counter is on the verge of giving a very strong breakout. In the recent period, also, this counter have emerged above the zone of 900, but I expect this will be the first time that it will be closing above 900 on a weekly time frame. So, if it closes above 900 on the in this week, then we can definitely expect a continuation in this counter for a higher target of approximately 80 points on a very short term basis. So 1000 should be the target for short term perspective. The time we witness a very strong breakout, then again a 40 to 50 point of odd movement can be seen. Other counter from the same space is Indian Hotels, which is looking very positive to me, and I am expecting that it is also on the verge of giving a breakout. So this counter is also looking very positive. This has seen a very strong symmetrical triangle breakout on the daily time frame, and after retesting the neckline, the stock has started gaining traction. So I expect that Indian hotels is also one of the candidates that can see a very good performance in the coming period.
Right. I'll request the PCR to fire Zomato down consecutively for 3 weeks in a row. And today the stock has fired. We've already discussed it once or twice, but now it breaches 260 and it breaches it in style. 1200 crores worth of trades have been done so far, and the counter's up 7%. Sakshi.
Absolutely. There was this 60% upside that Brokerage House has been expecting a target of 340. This is from JP Morgan, and that's what is driving the momentum on Zomato right here. We'll continue to keep an eye out on this one as well. Apart from this, let's also discuss the metals pack also with you, Osho. 0.5% of an up move on the index as a whole, and several stocks now are looking to come back. Hindustan Zinc up 1.5%, Vedanta, Nalco, GSW Steel, Steel Authority, all of them seem to be buzzing in trade. But is there enough strength for the momentum to carry on?
See, overall in the metal space, I expect that there is some kind of trading perspective. Yes, there is a traction in metal space. There are days where we can see a very good traction on the buying front or even on the selling front also. But overly on the technical chart, there is no major breakout that is being seen in any of the counters for the time being. Most of the counters are into a consolidation phase and near very strong support zone. So I expect until we see a very strong traction in the coming period and any of the counters looking very decisively on the verge of breakout, then only it will be better to have a very strong momentum, or to have a very strong bullish sentiments associated to these counters. Until that time, for trader perspective, yes, one can definitely have 1.5% or 2% of kind of a move for a day or maybe a 2 day. But overall, the space is not having very strong traction for the time being. So I will be staying sidelines from metal for the time being.
Okay, got it. So that's the metal space for you. What else is buzzing? Let's again look at the stocks. Actually, some of the sectors have slipped lower. So let me just mention those two. Realty, PSU banks, IT and autos have slipped into the red. Meanwhile, rest of the sectors are still holding up. Media stocks are up by 1%. Small caps and mid caps are driving the show. Metals, consumer durables, oil and gas and pharma. These are the pockets where all the action remains as far as the markets are concerned. There are several other stocks that are now picking up pace. Let me just pick up some of them. Indigo is moving up about 0.2% higher in trade at 4823 currently. Let's again look at some of the other pockets. Geo Financial is an interesting name, 0.3% higher again in today's trade. Let's ask you, Osho, on GeoFin, what is your take right there on this stock that's been consistently on the up move?
See, overall, Geofinance, looking at the recent movement, the counter was into a corrective phase from the zone of nearly 380 towards the zone of 320. But in the last four trading session, we can see a reversal in this counter. Majority of the moving averages are witnessing a very strong positive crossover. So I am expecting that from here onwards, the trend has again been reversed towards the bullish instinct. So I expect that from here onwards, one can definitely expect a higher highs in this counter from a short to medium term perspective. But on a technical levels, 365 is the immediate target that one can eye for short term perspective, while on the lower end, 340 is a very strong support zone. So from here onwards, I expect nearly 15 to 20 point of upsurge in a very short term, maybe positional 5 to 7, 8 odd days, kind of a target one can definitely expect in geofinance.
9:45, ladies and gentlemen. We've had the first half an hour of trade. As good a time as any to have a look back. Nifty flat as flat can be on its weekly expiry. 25,200 is still with the bulls. The index is in the green. In terms of contributors to this move on the Nifty, it's HDFC Bank, a stock that I have pointed out 2 days ago, in the green and contributing about 8.5 points to Nifty. ITC, something Sakshi is marking, 7 points in the green. Ultratech, Titan, and Reliance. These are the 4 or 5 top stocks that have contributed towards Nifty's uptick. Bharti Airtel, Infosys, L&T, and HCL Tech have brought in minor losses. Overall, the Nifty is still in positive territory. What's moving in terms of all-time highs? Let's look at these names within the Nifty 50, if there are any, and then we'll broaden our reach. Within the Nifty 50, you have Shriram Housing Finance at a record high, 1.1% higher at 3282. In the F&O space, there are 4 plus 4 plus 4, 12 record highs. Let me just take a name which we don't discuss often. JK Cement, 4774, 2.2% higher. ICICI Pru Life, 767.85, fresh high. United Spirits, MCX, Lupin, we have discussed often, as have we marked consistently Hindustan Petro. HDFC AMC is a new name that I am seeing in terms of record highs, and from the insurance table of the ICICI, another stock, ICICI GI. In terms of volume buzzers, because half an hour of trade is lapsed, we've discussed MFCL. There's a block deal that's happened. Interestingly, ACC, 100% of 5-day average is traded on the cement space, 2,80,000. In yesterday's trade, when we were talking to Mr. Rudra Murthy, he had mentioned Ramco Cement as one of his top picks in the sector. You can have a look at that as well. But unusual names are PVR Inox, 2.3% higher, 1563. There is a South Indian film that's getting launched today called Goat. So that probably is the reason why PVR Inox is doing well, 2.2% higher. 66% of 5-day volume is already traded in the first half an hour of trade. So that's how it is, ladies and gentlemen. And Osho started with Biocon, and Biocon is in the pink of health, the top performing stock so far in the pharma space for today. Sakshi, what are you watching?
Well, in the pre-open, we have seen that Raymond Lifestyle is settled at 3,000 rupees per share on the BSE, and just about 10 minutes from now we will see the final listing. Remember, the company has already indicated that they aim to double their EBITDA to over 20 billion rupees in the next 4 years, and they are eyeing about a 12 to 15% growth over the next 3 to 4 years as well. This could be led by a combination of store expansion and a big bet on the wedding business and the expansion into the adjacencies as well. So there you see the stage is set. Just 10 minutes to go. You can see Mr. Ashish Kumar Chauhan right there at the NSE, bell, which will be ringing for Raymond Lifestyle to get listed today. So we will be awaiting for that one. But as of now, the prices seem to be settled at 3,000 rupees. You can see Mr. Gautam Singhania also right there with Mr. Ashish Kumar Chauhan. We'll continue to get you those visuals and the live listing as well in due course. But let's again get back to the markets to see where the current momentum is further building up and taking pace is PFC and REC. The old favorites are actually coming back. About 0.7% of an uptick is what you can see on both these stocks right there. Osho to you, Power Finance Corporation and REC. How will you look at these two stocks now?
See, for PFC, this counter is again on the verge of giving a fresh breakout. So I expect that one should better wait for 565 to get breached. Overall, the momentum is very positive. There has been a consolidation in the last 4 to 5 trading session, and today again we are witnessing a very strong move. So I expect that 565 just being a number. I expect that from here onwards we can expect a very good movement in PFC also. So fresh breakout will trigger some fresh traction in this counter for higher target of nearly 580 on the short term perspective. Now, same with REC, because REC again, both the counters gained traction in a similar manner. So REC also is looking very positive on immediate basis. 640.45 is the immediate target that one can definitely expect. The time we witness a breakout above the same zone, then we can see some kind of fresh trigger in these counters in REC. So overall, both the counters are looking very positive. And for short term and even for medium term, one can definitely try to accumulate these counters.
9:51, ladies and gentlemen. Uh, let's look at some smart moves that are happening in DMart. Normally, we don't talk about this counter, but again, 2.5% higher, 2% higher at 51.97. We've also discussed Tata Technologies momentum coming back 1.7% at the high of the day, 1069. Let's see if there is some more activity coming in as far as the best performing stocks are concerned. There are so many of them which are up between 17 and 5%, but how many of them can I take their names on air? Okay, Edelweiss I've marked 6.9% higher, 121.9. How about Lincoln Pharmaceuticals? We don't talk about this stock a lot, but 8% higher on Lincoln at about 771 rupees. Please keep this on your radar as well. There's a 5% circuit on PC Jewelers. Actually, all jewelry stocks are up. Titan, Kalyan Jewelers. There was a very big block deal on Thangamile Jewelers yesterday. That is seen slipping a bit, but jewelry as a space is doing pretty good. Have a look at other stocks such as Senco and some other small ones that are listed in this space. What else is I'd like to point out on the circuit? Connects Microsystems from the railway side, 5% higher, but again, as I have said, this is a corrective rally that has happened after a fairly robust sell-off. New highs, so many of them we've already marked. Mopen Labs, let's take a look at this pharma company at 92 rupees. Osho, your views on Mopen Labs, 2.35% higher, and 253 crores worth of transaction has happened at a record high of 93 rupees. What are the charts telling you?
See, overall, technically, again, this counter is on a very strong movement. So technical parameters are very overbought. But I expect that with the movement that we have seen in the last trading session from 80 to approximately 91 level, that has been a very strong move for this counter. But I expect that there can be some kind of consolidation in the coming period so that the technical parameters partially cool off from the higher zone. And on the higher end, if, I assume 98 to 100 to be seen as the immediate resistance, while on the lower end, support is around the zone of 82. So clearly not a favorable risk and reward at current market price. But for those who are having this counter in their portfolio, so stay invested because overall the trend is very positive. This counter have started gaining traction in terms of volume also, and from the levels of 60 odd levels towards the movement of 90, this counter have seen a very drastic upsurge that has been backed by volumes. So definitely a very bullish approach for this counter, but fresh accumulation should be avoided for the time being. If there will be any kind of dip towards 85, 84 odd levels, then one should definitely try to accumulate this counter.
Osho, let me just bring your attention to PNB Housing Finance. The stock is further picking up pace, 4.4% higher at 1099 at the current levels. How are you looking at PNB Housing Finance going forward from here?
See, overall, the pattern breakout in this counter was approximately around the zone of 920, 930 odd levels. And from there onwards, I was expecting a target of nearly 1050, 1060. So obviously, it is hovering way above the target on the technical front. So I expect that those who have holding the position should stay intact with their position and keep trailing their stop losses to the higher zone because the time we see the momentum in these counters, so this should continue in the coming period also. So one should definitely keep trailing their targets on the higher end. 1020 should be the immediate support for this counter for the time being. But comparatively, if I have to say, then LIC Housing Finance is also looking very positive. It has seen a very decent traction in the last few trading sessions. So for fresh accumulation, LIC Housing Finance is looking very positive on the technical front. So one should even look for LIC Housing Finance if they want to have fresh accumulation on the technical fronts.
Okay, got it. Within the F&O space, it's Biocon, which you had mentioned, Osho, is again picking up pace. I can see a 3.7% uptake on Biocon in the F&O space again. So no let-up rights there. Even in the cash space, it's now at the day's high, 3.4% higher at 391 odd levels, 392 now going forward. How are you looking at Biocon? Where do you see the stock moving forward?
See, overall, this counter have seen a very strong breakout last session, so I expect that the follow-up buying should again trigger a fresh momentum in this counter. On the higher end, again, 400 being the psychological mark can provide some kind of resilience, but looking at the momentum, I expect 420 to be tested on a positional basis. So overall, for short-term traders, 400 can be for they can book 400 on intraday perspective, but for positional purpose, I expect 415 to 20 to be seen in this counter.
Hmm.
9:57, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start wrapping up the market. While you see modest gains on the Nifty, 19 points higher, nothing much should be expected from this one because we are on the weekly expiry, and a flat to positive trade is most likely the best outcome that we can hope forward to. What is buzzing? Well, no doubt it's pharma, and it's just taking away a lot of market space. Biocon we've discussed, threadbare 392 now, very strong move coming in. JB Pharma Chem 3% higher, Mankind Pharma 2% higher. Within the mid cap space, lots of buzz on Laurus Labs, 2% higher. Glenmark, we've marked repeatedly record high 1710. Ipca Labs doing pretty well, 1.5% higher. Natco, Gland, Lupins, and Dr. Reddy Aurobindo Pharma in the green. In terms of volume buzzers, it's Biocon that's taking it away. You have already 1.4 times the 5-day average traded. So this is a very, very strong breakout. 58 lakh shares have been traded so far. And in terms of all-time highs, Natco, Lupin, Alchem, and Ipca are now at record peaks. NSE 500, a nice blowout happening on Kaplan Point, another pharma company. This is the top this is not only an all-time high, but this is also one of those counters showing strength. And taking it away on the charts and on the volume front is Zomato, 5.7% higher. 1669 crores worth of transactions have already been done. Sakshi.
Okay, let's shift focus to the National Stock Exchange now, where you will find live visuals of Raymond Lifestyle getting listed. We're just about 30 seconds away from the listing of Raymond Lifestyle to take place. Remember, after Raymond Lifestyle's listing today, there will be 2 listed Raymond groups that you could be looking at for trade. Remember, Raymond board had on July 4th approved the scheme of arrangement for demerger of the real estate business, that's Raymond Realty as well. That will happen in due course of time. Raymond Lifestyle, which is the retail and the lifestyle division of Raymond Group, it's poised to make its debut just in a few moments from now. This is the first step in the scheme of arrangement that was announced by Raymond. It plans to eventually have 3 separate listed businesses. One will be Raymond, and that already went ex-lifestyle business in July. The price had adjusted for that one. The listing of lifestyle business will take place today as a separate entity, and might also offer shareholder value, and of course Raymond Realty that will be listed in due course of time as well. So that's something that we should be definitely looking at. You can actually see the top management of Raymond Lifestyle and the Raymond Group right there, along with Mr. Ashish Kumar Chauhan. Just about 30 seconds to go for the listing to take place right there for Raymond Lifestyle. We are looking at how the price had settled in the pre-opening, was 3,000 rupees, and now we are looking for the bell to go off. Share.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, extreme value creation for all those long-term shareholders for Raymond. The business now splits right in the middle. The real estate division is already quoted, making great waves, and this is the lifestyle division. Remember, Raymond is India's top textile brand, something that we often forget. And now there are clear divisions. If you want to get into the textile business, look at this price. If you want to enjoy the rally in the real estate space, here is a stock that is already listed. The combined value of Raymond stock is now about 5,200 rupees. I think this would be one of the best performing value creations that have happened over the last 3, 4, 5 years. And we have another stock to track and another party to enjoy, this time from Raymond. The byline used to be the complete man, and now you have the complete listing. You want real estate, look at this stock, and if you want lifestyle, you look at the one that's just getting listed in front of you. That, ladies and gentlemen, is all that we have from our side today. But remain glued to Business Today television. There is lots happening on the other side of this break. Thank you for watching us. We'll be back at about 2:30 p.m.
What's this? A new feature on UPI. I can do this on GPay or the other apps, but that's the problem really. With our Tech Today team, there's a bunch of very young, passionate and talented tech enthusiasts, and they understand all of these features really well, and they owe me for the last couple of cutting chais we've had during our shoots. So there's a new feature called UPI Circles.